Fuck NASCAR.
Wop, 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 wop.
The greatest day in racing turned into be probably the worst.
Yeah, let's go. All right. Starting it off quick. No good morning, beautiful people. Y'all know what that means. Shitty day in NASCAR land.
I had nothing good to say about the NASCAR.
Yeah, that was a... Man,
Which
talk about a
they
letdown. It was
Yeah,
11
I mean,
o'clock our
whether-
time. I'm super excited to be up super late. I was ready to go, wide awake, because we normally are working at 11 o'clock at night. So,
The track was dry.
yeah, the track was dry, and so was my beer after they called it.
You said on this podcast, it was earlier this year, and we were talking about, I can't remember if we were talking about schedule stuff or timing or whatever, but I think what you said earlier this year nailed what happened, nailed it on the head. That back in the day, NASCAR was so popular that they could make the calls over the TV.
Yeah.
people. Nowadays, the TV people make the calls over NASCAR.
Is that what ended up happening?
In my opinion, it has to be, because why do you drive the track for 2 hours and have it almost dry for it the plug to get pulled?
I know, just wasted all that money. They talk about wanting to save money, and then they spend all that money on the fuel to run them damn Air Titans.
Yeah, and ran them, and like the track was drying. And I'm sure you got on Twitter, and I'm sure you've seen TikTok and all the stuff, but like all the people that are there are like, just like, are you kidding me? Like it hasn't rained. It hasn't been raining.
It
the
stopped.
track, and they're videoing like the people I saw videos from the outside and the inside, but like they're sitting like in the corners and you can just see the track. Like, I mean, it was literally a couple laps away from being completely dry.
Yeah.
And they pulled the plug. So something, I don't think it was a NASCAR call. Even though I said fuck NASCAR, I don't think it was a NASCAR call for them to spend 2 hours drying it and then call it.
Yeah. And I see, the tracks posting on Twitter. We're doing everything we can to get this track dry for y'all. And NASCAR's talking about it. They keep us in suspense for, I don't even know how long it was, like 2.5 hours.
2 hours.
It was a good amount of time. And I mean, I was fully convinced that we were getting that race back underway.
Once it waited so long, everyone was under the same impression. It was like, okay, it normally, if this would have been not the Coke 600 and not the quote-unquote greatest day in racing and not this whole Larson deal and all this, it would have just been Gateway next week, and they were 5 laps past halfway, they would have called it way sooner. No, I'm not going to say immediately, but way sooner.
They would have given it probably 40 minutes to see if the rain would have stopped.
Yeah.
If it didn't, they would have called it.
But because because it's the Coke 600, just like with Daytona 500s, back in the day with the Pepsi 400, and some of these big races, they'll wait. Well, they waited and waited and waited, and the track's dry, and we all can see it plain as day, and then they call it.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs, this is when I know something's messed up, because Joe Gibbs is not the kind of guy to just say random stuff into the public. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a stand-up guy. He's not just going to say stuff to say stuff. He said he was under the impression that the drivers were getting called to their car 15 minutes before they called the race. That's what he was told. He was already like getting his clothes back on and stuff. And they already talked to the drivers, already getting their uniforms back on. They were 15 minutes away from going in, which his car won the race. So he's like sitting on a double-edged sword, I would say, because I guess he's happy, but he's being so upfront with saying we were 15 minutes away from going to step in the car.
Yeah,
what I was under the interpretation of. So that's why
I would think that we had already crossed that threshold. If we're 15 minutes away from putting drivers in the cars, what's the difference between starting it right then at that moment and starting it 15 minutes later? Like we had to have already been well past the threshold of when the TVs would have let us continue the race.
I heard there was no whole. I don't know. That's why I'm so confused, dude. There was all the reporters saying originally, dear, it's like they have lights. Tomorrow's a holiday. A lot of people will still be watching TV because everybody's off work.
How many
they're
people
in Charlotte? They're in Charlotte.
How many people traveled to get there?
Right there.
It's
Our boy
sold
Matt
out.
Haas, did he text you yesterday?
No, I did not get anything from Matt Haas.
Our boy Matt Haas was there.
Great example. That is a great
example.
He
drove 10 hours and spent hundreds of dollars on hotels, hundreds of dollars on tickets. He's sitting on the front stretch, just to the left of the start-finish line. really close to kind of where I sat at Atlanta. I think they had the same kind of seating up there. And, dude, he was absolutely bummed out.
Yeah. I mean, golly. How could you not
I was
be?
so bummed. I was like, dude, I hate that for you, dude. I hate it for the people watching. I hate it for the people. I think the drivers wanted to go back and race. I think the teams wanted to go back and race.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
This is the big issue for me. You have all these guys. We're in Charlotte, and you have all these guys here that you just made wait 2 extra hours for nothing. And that's what pissed everybody off. Because everybody, the wait they want is like, okay, we're down with waiting if we're going to race. Everybody wanted to race, so it was like, okay, we're down with waiting with the 2 hours. Race finishes at 2 a.m.
It could have been such a special thing.
Yeah. I've watched races finish at 2 and 3 in the morning. It has happened. It has happened multiple times in my life. One of the coolest things is watching Dale Jr. win at Daytona in the middle of the night.
Absolutely. And especially, like you said, with a holiday the next day, who cares if we're racing late?
Everybody's off work.
Is it a curfew thing that the city's mad about it? And if so,
no, I saw Matt Weaver and those guys post. There was no curfew, no nothing. I don't know what happened.
That was just that was a mind-blowing, absolutely gut-wrenching call. As soon as I saw it, the Seabell Hate Club just
fired right back
off.
up. Yeah.
Fired right off. It's so disappointing for that to have happened. I mean, is that Seabell's second one of the year now?
That is Seabell's second one of the year now, yes.
God dang,
373.
Thank God it was somebody who had at least already won, because it would have sucked to see somebody get a fluke win out of that and then having to justify their playoff berth for the rest of the season. When everybody's just saying, "Oh, we won the Coke's 373," so
yeah, that's definitely
turned the longest race of the year into one of the shortest. I don't know if it. I think the Phoenix race at the end of the year is technically shorter.
312, but yes, you are correct.
It's the second shortest race of the year when it was supposed to be the longest race of the year.
But it takes longer to run 312 laps at Phoenix than it probably does to run 205 laps at Charlotte, if I had to guess.
Good God, man.
Just the rain, and they can't help the rain. But Jesus, I cannot believe the. So yesterday, the only thing that saved yesterday for me was I know. Well, the weather ended up getting better at y'all's house, but I know originally the weather was pretty bad.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, I was cooking ribs, and I had to go out there in the middle of just driving rain. Funny story for you, not to interrupt what you're saying, but you're gonna get a huge kick out of this. It's right as the Indy 500's about to get started, and the Coke 600 is getting close. So I'm getting these ribs cooked, and I have one last time I have to baste them before I have to pull them out and wrap them. And it's driving rain. I didn't realize how bad the rain was going to get at my house, because I focused more on the weather of where we were going this weekend than what was coming whenever I got home. So I get my sweatshirt on, I get my flip-flops on, because the girl's right outside my back door, and I step out, and our dog, Stella, bless her heart, she has anxiety attacks every time it has weather, and there's thunder and wind. She gets to where she's shaking so bad and just can't focus. Her eyes are about the size of dinner plates. And it was something she wants to do, and I still haven't figured this out, but she wants to run out of the house, up the driveway to the road, so I'm afraid she's going to get hit by a car one of these days. But she is sitting right behind me. I get all this stuff on. All I got to do is go out there, spray the ribs, come back in. Shouldn't be a minute. Well, as soon as I try to close the door behind me, she's already got her body halfway into it. So I try to close the door. She's standing there. Don't get the door closed. I turn around. I've got my hands full of stuff for these ribs, and she is taking off down the back porch and around the house. Flying. I mean, just sends it.
Yeah,
and she'd already done this to me once earlier in the day. So I start hollering at her like, "Stella, where are you going?" Next thing you know, I'm running down the porch after her. I throw the stuff back in the house, don't even get the door all the way closed. So I'm taking off down these stairs, and the moment that my feet hit the grass at the bottom of the stairs off of my back deck, my feet go to the left, my body went to the right, and I landed sideways onto the ground trying to make the corner. And I landed right on a tree root. You can see my hands got this huge slash down it now.
Oh, I
And
didn't want you to get hurt. I just wanted you to get muddy. Really.
Oh, I didn't
was
get
hoping
hurt. I
for.
mean, that's it's just one of those stingers. It's you can see it more than anything. But
yeah.
landed right on a tree root. I'm covered in mud. I'm wet because that spot where I landed is where all the water runs down the side of our house. And I mean, I land right smack into it. I'm covered in mud, covered in water. And now I'm pissed off, and Stella's just standing there at the truck with her eyes barely open because it's raining so hard she can't open them. So I just go up there and I have to scoop her up, and I am just cussing. I know if somebody walked outside or could hear me, they were scared as to what was going on our property because I had just immediately flipped the switch. I was so PO'd. Turns out that wasn't the only thing the rain was going to do to me all day. But
yeah, I also busted my ass at Caleb's house earlier this week.
Yes, you did.
Mud.
Yes, you did. It was hilarious.
Mean, like
I didn't even know it happened.
Hardcore, like all the way down to the ground. Had my Yeti cup in one hand and like a bag of chips and a sandwich in the other. And I go all the way to the ground. I'm just holding the chips and the sandwich up like this. So there was nothing I could do to catch myself or nothing. It was just like I told you. I was walking by your truck. And the thought that goes into my head, I was really like, damn, that's muddy. Out. My feet are just out from under me. Out from under me.
Oh, yeah. We just need to get some gravel put down on this damn property because that driveway, you've got to throw the truck into 4-low pretty much every time to get out of it because it's so muddy.
Caleb's driveway is slightly on a hill. Not like a major hill, but slightly on a hill.
That's the funny part is it's barely a hill.
And you got that pea gravel. There's just no grip, and it's just you just kind of sink in it. Even if you're standing in it, your feet kind of sink.
I think it's the kind of gravel that they use to build those truck runaway no brake ramps. I'm pretty sure it's the same exact type of gravel because you spin your tires in it, it just digs down into it. Yeah, it's so slick. I don't know who the hell put that down and thought it was a good idea, but I'd just love to have a conversation with them just to confirm a few theories I've got. But
for me, I didn't fall down yesterday, which was great. The last time we had a family gathering at the house, I did burn the skin off the bottom of my foot. I'm not even sure if I told you about that.
Damn, dude, you and fires don't get along.
It wasn't a fire; it was boiling hot water that got me.
Oh, you did tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're rambling already, but there's really not much to talk about in the race. So we can just keep going,
we can complain or tell funny stories. I'd rather tell funny stories.
We've had like two kind of family gatherings here. We had one, couple. It was right after we started with Travis, so like beginning of April, I guess you'd say. And then had another one yesterday. That's what I was saying. Like saved my day. Like having all this good time, but the first one, I made this big low country bull. It was so good, but the little valve, on the bottom of the thing, let the water kind of drain out before I dump it into the cooler. Well, I mean, the water had been running out, whatever, and I mean, it's boiling hot, but I wasn't thinking much about it. I got my Crocs on. Boom! I step in the muddy, wet grass, and it's just boiling, muddy, wet grass water, and it roasted the bottom of my foot to the point where like it was a weird burn because like I've been burned quite a few times, and it just like kind of burned the layer of skin off. It wasn't like down to the I wasn't like bleeding or had like that super tender skin, or it just like peeled the skin off my toes and my like that part of your foot where your toes meet.
Yeah,
but
damn,
anyway,
you burned the bottom of your foot like Clint Boyer burned the bottom of his ass pouring that water on him.
Yeah. Yesterday, though, didn't have no injuries for anyone, which was great. But
congratulations, that's a new record. We are family gathering without incident in a row.
We're doing good there. But we had burgers. My mom made these awesome dips. My mom makes this dip that has like pepper jelly and cream cheese and this. It's like exactly like we do with the bratwurst, but it's like a dip that she makes.
Yeah.
And Lindsay calls it the good dip. So mom made this other dip that's called good shit dip from a guy on TikTok. It was great.
We got good. We got good
also,
shit.
We had jalapeno poppers. We had hamburgers. Nana made her baked beans, which Nana's like the goat of baked beans. They're so good. Nana made slaw. Megan made some s'mores dip, which was awesome. We had Lindsay's grandmother made some chocolate cake. Somebody brought a thing of M&M cookies.
What'd you make in the crock pot?
No crock pots yesterday.
Damn.
All
these people have been sending me recipes
to make something for Carson.
There you go. There you go.
I'll put some queso in a crock pot for him in Kentucky.
Go.
But I made the burgers, and every time I make burgers, I like to buy the meat, put all the seasoning, make my own patties, all the stuff. Well, just didn't have time to do all that. So, like, we went ahead and Lindsay went to the store, and I was like, just get the pre-made burgers. Like, it's fine, whatever. I was like, get some Worcestershire sauce. And I put Worcestershire sauce and Tony's on these burgers, and they rocked. I was so impressed. I was like, man, I hate that I'm making 30 pre-made burgers for everybody out here. Like, that's kind of lame. Well, then we ate them, and I was like, daggum, these are incredible.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with the burgers that I made that were pre-made. But
so that saved your day.
Yeah, that saved the day because everybody hung out till super late. It was fun. We watched the Indy 500, watched the first part of the Cup race. Well, the Cup race we were all kind of gathered around the TV. We put the TV outside, had a table, let the chickens out, all the things. Lindsay bought a swimming pool, a little kiddie,
nice.
It's bigger than a kiddie pool, but not huge, And terrible design with the pool. We had to hold it up with center blocks
because you're on an incline too.
Yeah, the pool sides were just not as sturdy as they should have been. Lindsay just came to the door and said it was horrible. But she got in the pool, played with the kids. But then when the rain delay came, everybody just kind of sat around in the middle of the yard, and we just told stories and, had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, then by the time I don't know, midnight, whatever rolls around, everybody's starting to leave. And I think it was about midnight when the race got called. But me and Lindsay,
it was close to it.
Me and Lindsay go to put I'm under the impression we're getting ready to. Obviously, I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to race. We're getting close to race time here. And we put the tent down, put the tent in the box or whatever, and then come back inside. Well, I come back inside, and they're interviewing Christopher Bell in Victory Lane. And I was like, no way. No fucking way this is happening right now.
What a letdown.
And it just was pop my little balloon that I had going. I was like,
oh,
dang.
yeah.
I was so excited and so under the impression, just like everyone else. Me and you aren't the only two people with this impression, but I thought they were really close to going back to racing. When the racetrack turns gray from dark black, it's it's race time
to go.
Yeah, it's race time.
God, yeah, it was just. You'll have those heartbreaking moments, but usually it's because your driver gets wrecked out. Shout out to Blaney.
Which yours did.
Yeah, which mine did. Yours never even started the race.
Mine never even started.
Your guy never even drove. My guy wrecks out in stage 1. Man, what a rough day for us as NASCAR fans, man. This is going to be the most depressing podcast we've ever had to put out because I had nothing to celebrate except for my bets did pretty good.
That's good.
And I don't even know if I could celebrate that. I doubled my money, but I'm just like, I wanted to double my money after 600 miles.
Yeah,
but
it just sucked, and I watched the Indy race up until Larson sped on pit road, and then I was like, there was 30, 60, I can't remember.
A good amount of time left, a 25% of the race left to go right there.
Yeah, but at that point, I was like, without something crazy happening, he's not going to do well. So turn the race over to the 600, watch the 600. Well, then I got on Twitter, and they're like, Larson's crew chief had said that they were going to make a crazy pit strategy call and stay out late on fuel and hope for a bunch of cautions. Which, the end of the Indy 500, it's kind of hit or miss. Either there's always a bunch of cautions or they run green and smooth to the end of the race.
Yeah.
They ran smooth. He has to pit. He finished 18th. But I will say, if I had to cheer, and I know we've talked about this, if I had to pick an IndyCar guy, Newgarden's the guy because he's a Nashville.
I agree.
Dude.
I agree.
And I really enjoyed him on the Dale Jr. podcast a few years ago. Whenever he was on there, learned a lot about him. Learned all his story and whatnot. And he made the pass on the outside. I don't know if you saw it, but I mean, it was awesome. The last couple
end
laps
of the
were
Indy
awesome.
500 was
him and
phenomenal.
O'Ward were just like back and forth. And I had said, I was like, it's going to be better off. Not that I'm some kind of like Indy guy, but just from what they were doing, I was like, it's going to be way better for the second place guy. Because it didn't matter if he was like a half a straightaway is probably stretching it, but he could just draft right up to him by the end of the corner and be around. And they did that a few times, and I was like, bro, second place is the best place to be on the last lap. And Newgarden did it. I feel like O'Ward kind of like showed his cards like 2 laps too early. Like
or like 1 turn too early. I think it was wild to see him. They did that restart. They get around the first lap, and then O'Ward comes right at the start-finish line taking the white and makes that awesome pass on the outside. And I'm screaming to Allison, he's going to make a pass on the last lap. But then I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, they got 2.5 more miles to go.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Like, it was almost like he knew that was a damn good chance, and he almost guaranteed himself a pass right there. But should he? I mean, you're always playing the odds. It would be hard to convince anyone not to make a pass for the lead on the last lap, to wait and hope that they can make a pass on the last lap later.
Totally.
So it was such an awkward spot.
I was kind of talking about a couple laps prior to that. Even the guy on the broadcast said something like, this is a practice pass, basically. And that's kind of where I was at, though. Like it was like 2 or 3 laps before the last one. So there's I would say 4 to 5 laps to go in the race.
Yeah.
And O'Ward does makes the move on Newgarden and kind of, not that Newgarden didn't know, but showed exactly what Newgarden what to do. And so O'Ward did it, and then Newgarden did it, and then O'Ward did it again, which is the last lap you're talking about, and then Newgarden did it again. So
yeah, it made for an awesome watch.
Oh, it was great. I loved everything about it. I just was like, I bet if he had to go back, I don't know if he'd have done anything differently or not, but I just kind of I feel like he kind of showed his cards super early.
Yeah, I really think the only thing that he could have done is waited till turn 3 to make that move.
Yeah,
but
like you said, if you have the opportunity,
tell somebody to let off.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to. You're gonna take it when you can get it, and that's what he did.
Yeah, because who knows? Maybe he loses the nose in the draft through the corner one time, or something crazy happens that changes up the way that he runs one of the corners, and he doesn't get a chance to make that run down the backstretch. But yeah, as soon as I saw him make that pass on the outside, I will say Joseph made some wild moves pretty much throughout the entire race.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time in the middle of it where he put people kind of 3 wide and did a crazy maneuver. And every single one of those moves is what built up to him winning that race. But he was aggressive the whole time. And it was awesome. It was awesome to watch him progress.
And I've heard those guys say, the guy that's aggressive the whole weekend is the guy that does the best in Indy 500.
Yeah.
That's why Rossi
it's a fine
used
line.
to be. Rossi used to put his car, when he was winning them a couple years ago, seemed like he was winning every race. He would just put his car in places that no one else would even dare, and it would stick, and he would make incredible passes. I remember a couple years ago when he was driving the Napa car, and he made a 3 wide pass, put it in the center at Indy, and it worked. I think it was one of the years he won. This was a few years back.
Yeah.
And I apologize for not knowing all these guys' names. But one of the coolest things was, and it sucked during the race, obviously, but the guy, I think Scott Dixon, comes down and touches the guy. And I want to say it was Hunter Ray or what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to say, I don't know if you saw this, but they touch. He goes down in the grass and he does a complete 360 completely. Boom, spins it out, keeps
I did
going.
not see that part, no.
Oh, dude. It was the sickest. He ends up going in the grass because the car is so out of control, but he does a complete 360 on the track. And honestly, he might have turned into the grass because there was 2 cars coming up behind him so fast that he might have thought he was going to get rear-ended.
Yeah, get creamed.
Because they were kind of running like this, and he was here. So this guy that was directly behind him it was either grass for him or another car. So when he spun it around, he ends up, and like I said, he could have either done it on purpose or he was still out of control. but spins around and then goes down in the grass. But it was the coolest 360 spin, and it was like, you know how IndyCar is. It literally was a snap of a finger. That's how fast the car was back going straight again.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
I don't know. And Scott Dixon came down. I don't know how Scott didn't get turned. Scott was like throwing like a bad block, is what it looked like. And the car spun. He spun the other car. Scott Dixon's car, when it got touched, never moved, which blew me away because I thought it was going to be a hellacious wreck, and then it didn't turn out to be one.
Whew.
But I was like,
there was some wild things going on in the 500 all day long.
Yeah,
it ended up being it was the race of the Memorial Day weekend for sure. Not that NASCAR really had many laps to compete with it, but you know how F1 is. It's just Monaco. I enjoy watching F1 races. Don't get me wrong. I actually enjoy the shit out of them. Anybody that hates on it, I totally get it, but I like it. The strategy element of everything. But Monaco is just the one race that, even though it's on the best day of racing, it's just a really tough watch because it's just parade laps. And
the top 10 finished the way they qualified.
Yep,
first through 10.
Exactly. So that's the hard part about it. I mean, it is a hard race to run because there's some tight technical corners. You make one mistake and you're falling down the order and you're gone. There's just no chance of coming back from that. But just waking up, watching that, and then watching waiting for the 500 to finally happen. It's happening at the same time as the 600. It kind of split my attention, but in my time while I was watching the 500, I was thinking, well, if I missed some stuff at the beginning of the 600, whatever, there's a lot of racing left to go.
That was my thought. I was like,
and just
if I missed the
myself.
first 100 laps, I was like, there's going to be 500 more miles of racing. I'll get to watch a whole race.
Yeah.
And I screwed myself.
Yep. So I'm glad I did it because at least I got to see a really good race come to a really good end. And
yeah,
it was awesome to watch
fired
that.
up. And like I said, all of us are like, not. I watch the Indy 500 every year, whether Kyle Larson's in or not. I've been watching the Indy 500 forever, and that's just been like, like I said, part of the Memorial Day thing.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was awesome. I'm glad I saw it live. I'm glad like I said, I'm glad we watched that, got to see all that live. I do not watch F1 at all. I don't care about F1. That's just, it's just not my thing. So I didn't watch that. I don't even know who won. You said you picked the guy who won, correct?
Yeah, I put my bets in a few days ago. I put a bet in on
who won. I don't even know.
Charles Leclerc won the F1 race, and I put a bet in on him on like Thursday, I think. And then, you had Joseph wins the 500. I put down money on Scott Dixon and ended up, I think he finished like third or fourth. So I was close
on Larson too, right?
And I put money on Larson, yeah. That was just a storybook.
Yeah, that was for fun,
I knew it was very low odds, but it was my storybook bet of the day.
It was low odds, but not on the the
Yeah.
He was the most bet on driver, naturally, but he was the most bet on driver, so it drove all the odds.
It screwed it all up. He should have been closer to like a 20-1. But,
for sure, or worse.
They ended up. I think it was at like 6-1 when I made that bet, which sucked.
Mine was plus 750 when I made mine. But I made mine a few weeks ago, and I saw him in the first practice finish top 5. I was like, well, okay, he has speed. He has legit speed in the car, and seems to know what he was doing. What screwed Larson, though, were the two things that he hadn't done. He hadn't done a live restart, and that dropped him from like 5th to 13th.
14th.
hadn't made a live pit stop and locks the tires up humongously coming down pit road and gets a speeding penalty. So the two things he did not have major practice on, he did it, which you kind of called that last week. You talked about getting on pit road being brutal in the Indy 500.
Absolutely.
And I defended him. And he did fine under caution, which I guess that's a whole lot easier, obviously. But as soon as the first green flag one happened, boom,
there it is. But yeah, that was my one bet that I was hoping for in the 500. Scott Dixon was in what I was cheering for, and he almost had it. He was running in third right there at the end. Ended up missing it.
Who did you bet on? I don't think I made any cup bets. I don't think I made a single cup bet.
Once again, I was so damn close. I had a bet on Brad Keselowski to win. And he ended up finishing in second under the rain delay.
Yeah.
So, man, I was pretty close on every one of my bets. I'll say that was a pretty successful. Like, if I'm gonna lose, I'd rather lose like that than to pick, Joey Logano and watch him finish way back in the back of the pack. But I did have one good cut bet that hit. I picked. I thought these were just locks, easily locks, and it turned out to be right. Brad Kay was at plus money to beat Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano was at plus money to beat Kyle Busch. And I was like, these are locks. I parlayed them both and threw $5 on it. Ended up almost getting me 30. So I was like, that's my good bet of the day. I never bet $5 on anything, so I was confident on that one and nailed it. So
that's awesome.
Those are my two that hit.
I didn't hear Kyle Busch or Joey Logano's name the whole time I was watching the 500. So
yeah, they finished pretty far back there. And I mean, if Joey Logano finishes that far back and he beats Kyle Busch, I can't even imagine where Busch finished. I'd have to even look it up to even know.
Props to Keselowski, though. I saw a stat last night. They posted it and someone else posted it, and now I can't remember exactly what it is. But, like, I want to say it's like 4 of the last 5 or 5 of the last 6. He's finished in the top 2 of races.
He's doing a hell of a job. I mean, he's on improving his stock. He's on the come-up train.
He is on a streak here in the last, going into the summer months here.
He's at 9th right now in the driver's standings, which is just chipping away at it every single week. Next up is Alex Bowman. He's definitely outrunning Alex Bowman right now.
Alex Bowman got screwed. He had a good car yesterday. He ran top 5 the whole race and then ended up finishing 9th. But I'm not saying he had race-winning speed or top 2 speed, but he did run top 5 the whole entire time.
Yeah, I was actually tempted in the middle of what they were running of the 600. I almost texted you and Steven because, of course, we were talking again. And I almost texted, Alex Bowman's going to win your Coke 600. They keep this up.
Yeah.
And
I think he had a great shot. If it would have went all 600.
Dude, I think so. I think you give him 600 miles. I think they were making some good adjustments. I mean,
he was bummed out after the race.
Isn't his crew chief, who was crew chief in Elliott for the Xfinity race, Greg Ives?
No. Greg Ives retired from full-time racing a couple years ago.
Damn,
so
who was it that? I'm going to have to look back up.
Greg Ives does the part-time stuff, though.
I think also that was another crew chief in Xfinity, but I'd have to go back and verify.
Greg Ives
if I'm wrong, y'all make fun of me.
Greg Ives was crew chief in Xfinity. That is a true statement.
I get one win of the day, and that's it right there.
Also saw a stat. The last time that old dude that won an F1 race, Chase Elliott won the Xfinity race on Saturday.
That's hilarious.
So
that was really freaking funny.
That was another funny little stat I saw.
Yeah. I didn't have any bets down on the Xfinity or Truck Series races. I just let it go. But how about old Cole Custer and Austin Hill getting into it in the Xfinity race? That had me cracking up, man. I was laughing my ass off.
It had Blaney laughing.
Oh, he was laughing. I was right there with him too. It was mind-blowing how much that they got at each other, and it must have been building up from lap after lap after lap. But Austin Hill just went into that race with, I don't know if somebody lit a fire between his ears or what, but he just went out there and just started beating up on everybody. I just didn't know what was going on.
Every race, right?
Yeah, in a way, but that day was just different. I mean, he's flipping off Sammy Smith for racing him hard.
Yeah.
Then he's flipping off Cole Custer and spinning him out when they just kind of had some race. It was just a racing deal, having contact in the dog leg. I mean, that's a tough corner to make around.
I made a post, and I could care less either way. I'm not a Austin Dillon huge fan. Austin Hill huge fan. I don't hate Austin Hill. I could go either way. I don't care. I enjoy that he's a big corn-fed boy from Georgia. I enjoy that. But he might be the most openly hated person on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny watching people just jump down his throat. I didn't realize how deep it ran until yesterday.
It's
2 days ago,
it's
Saturday.
Like a gradual thing. Each event that happens, more tweets come in. So you know what I mean? And then Saturday, every single tweet on my page was about how much people hate Austin Hill, and I was like, this dude's the most openly hated person on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just mind blowing. I can't believe the amount of turn that's taken. I feel like people at the beginning of the year were just like, "Damn, this guy's good." And now it's like, "Damn, this guy's an asshole."
The funny thing is, though, because of his reputation of what he's done to some drivers, especially Mike Snyder, no one ever messes with him. No one even comes up to him. People talk shit about Austin Hill from afar, but no one is going to come up to that guy because he will punch your nose to the back of your head. And no one wants that, obviously.
No doubt.
And that part is the part that absolutely cracks me up. And I am not comparing Dale Earnhardt and Austin Hill. I am just saying the same thing about Dale Earnhardt was back in the day. People drivers bitch and complain about Dale Earnhardt, but no one would go up to his face and bitch him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all the talk is from the other side of the football field away. And it's hilarious. And the best part is Austin Hill knows that. And they brought up what they Custer, someone tells him, like, Custer says, you're driving like a pissed off teenager. And he goes, so what? What are words going to do? Words don't hurt me at all. And it's just like, yeah, dude, because you have the status that no one is going to come up to you. And there's no one in the Xfinity Series garage. There's nobody, I don't know, in the Cup Series garage that would fuck with Austin Hill. I don't think anybody would physically fuck with him at all because he would knock the fucking shit out of you.
Absolutely. It's
and he's also
I wouldn't
not
want to get into a fight with
and
him.
he's not afraid to do it. Like he'll do it.
Yeah. Man, that's just, it's old school stuff, but man, he's just watching him do the spin out after the whole wreck and everything. I was just like, man, you're just out there throwing a temper tantrum. I feel like he does do some things that we would make fun of other people for, but it's exactly like you say. It's what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? NASCAR's about the only people in.
Yeah, I think there's a fine coming for the whole only because it's happened in previous years. It happened with Johnny Sauter, and I remember this. It was at Iowa. It happened with Johnny Sauter and Austin Hill.
Yep.
But when the cars are under caution and you have the gas hammered down, no matter what you're doing, whether if there's bad intentions behind your right foot being on the gas under caution, there's going to be some sort of repercussions. And
$75,000, 2 pit members ejected, and your dad can't come to races anymore.
Yeah. They brought up Johnny Sauter when he wrecked Austin Hill back in the day and just drove up and did the same thing, just lit off the gas and drove through him.
Yeah.
That he got suspended for a race or two. And that was in the truck series. So I don't know if it'll be like monetary or suspension or what, but I would almost bet money that something comes from not letting off the gas.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got a one-race suspension. Race suspension. I mean, he's already locked into the playoffs. It's just going to hurt his chances at getting some stage points, maybe hurt his chance of getting the regular season championship. So it could end up coming back to haunt him at the end of the year, but it'll be a very much like a slap on the wrist for him.
That's another thing, too. I think that people also hate Austin Hill because he runs so well. Like, what the first, 8 races of the year, this year,
he won, 3 of them.
Yes, and finished top 5. Him and Chandler Smith had, a top 5 or top 10 streak going. But it's like, people hate him because of his attitude. People hate him because he runs well, and he also doesn't just run well, he wins races.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, I could go either way. I don't care. I do enjoy the I don't give a fuck because you're not going to fuck with me attitude. I can get behind that.
But nobody likes it when the spoiled kid wins.
True. Who's the spoiled kid?
Well, just with the way his attitude is, he just acts like one in some certain ways. And it's just funny to watch that. Just the hate gets more visceral every time somebody wins, and they have that kind of a cocky, don't mess with me because you're not going to attitude.
Yeah, he definitely has an attitude. I don't think Austin Hill came from
No, I don't think.
bunch of money,
when
though.
I say spoiled kid, I mean more by the way he acts than his upbringing.
Yeah. I really just don't think he gives a fuck. That's
I don't think
really
he does
what it
either.
boils down to. And he's like, my average finish in the Busch Series has been probably a freaking 8.7 of every race that he's ever ran. I mean, it's up there. Dude.
Then let's see you take that shit to Cup, dude.
Yeah. Oh, if he's
don't
not going to take it to
too
Cup,
hard only halfway up the
RCR car. There's no chance.
Do what?
He's not gonna have. Just going to Cup in general is one thing, but going to Cup and in the current state of RCR, he would run 30th.
Dookie.
He would. It just is what it is.
As the RCR cars do.
They do.
Speaking of RCR cars, let's see where they finish this week because that's just going to be fun for me and all the Austin Dillon fans out there. Kyle Busch finishes in 15th, and Austin Dillon finishes in a rousing 27th place.
That's just
once
right
again.
on,
I mean, granted,
right on par.
obviously, there's only so much you could say about it since the race got called early. But the only way you finish there is if you're running there, unless they had some sort of pit strategy that put them in the back, and they weren't planning on things very well. Any surprises for you in the top 10?
Where'd Justin Haley finish? Because they were talking about him when he was running 15th on pure speed during the race.
Pure speed put him in 22nd.
That's a little worse than he was running.
Yeah. I mean, running. I'd go more with the running position on that one than anything because that's awesome to see him running that freaking good.
I want to put this out there, and I can't remember if this was a podcast conversation or a me and you conversation that we just had, but Chandler Smith and Justin Haley might be the two smartest guys in the garage because I think they were picking up. They were picking up on last year and super quiet about it until it happened, until like the news broke. They could see whatever was going on at Colleague. I think those two guys could see the trajectory of what was going on because it has been it was like pretty decent. Me and you talked on this podcast about how high our hopes were for Colleague with having Allmendinger, SVG, and Josh Williams. We were talking about that on the podcast, the preseason thunder before the race, before the season. They've went out and they have Josh Williams finished 10th in the Busch race Saturday, but he was also running 37th at one point during the race. But they saw what was coming. I don't know how they saw it. I don't know what they were told. I don't know what it was. But both of them guys got out of there at the most greatest time. Everybody originally calls Justin Haley an idiot. I know you can't call Chandler Smith an idiot for going to Joe Gibbs. Like, he was going to be good.
That's going to go good.
But, everybody's like, Justin Haley, what the hell's he doing? He's outrunning the Colleague cars every single week is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he is kicking ass. And it's crazy to watch. But if you had to give an award to, like, the smartest guy in the garage to get his way out of a situation into a way better one, that
jumping
didn't look
off
as much.
Of upward trajectory to jump to other upward trajectory, and the other one just starts falling off. I mean, he bought low, sold high, and bought low again.
Yeah,
and if he sold right now, he'd sell high again. I mean, it's genius. It is genius. I will agree with you.
And having, Brad Keselowski being so involved from what he says, and like their alliance is with the best running Ford team in the garage.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate to say it, Penske, but you're not the best running Ford team in the garage right now. RFK is. And so that helps them out because they're getting that same great information and such that RFK is getting. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think me and you had that conversation like just hanging out one day, not on here, but it's made Justin Haley like a smart son of a gun making that move.
Yeah, without a doubt. The only Colleague car that's doing better than him is Daniel Hemrick, and it's only by 3 or 4 spots in the driver's standings and about a 20-point spread. So tells you everything you need to know right there. That is some brutal stuff. And it would be one thing if it was a car that was running about where it is, but I mean, he has taken that car and putting it in places it never has seen before.
Never seen. So that car has never seen a
genuine top 10
at a real racetrack. It's never seen a genuine 15th running speed at a mile and a half. Like,
yeah,
exactly. He's putting that car. He took that car from literally running. I mean, they've moved it up 10 plus spots.
Yeah,
a weekend from where it normally runs.
And it just continues to be that way, and he continues to make headlines and get his name talked about. I thought he would have faded into obscurity by now, racing that 51 car.
Props to DBC, though, because they told us like about the people they were hiring. They're putting this guy into this. They're doing this here. They're signing a real driver with Justin Haley. It was before the season started, too. It's like we don't really know what's happening, but they are putting high-quality people in high-quality places to make the right calls. and it's turned the ship. It's even Kaz Gralla has been running good in those cars. Like, not that's not a knock on Kaz Gralla. I'm just saying, like, they've been running really well, and I'm here for it. And colleague it just went the opposite direction this year, in all aspects, dude. I remember like I said, we talked about them here. They used to dominate and win 5+ Xfinity Series races a year.
Yeah, they did.
Between all the cars,
it was hard to beat them. They were running up front. They were finishing 1, 2, 3 at Talladega.
Yeah. So something, I don't know. Something's changed. Chris Rice is going to be the guest on Door Bumper Clear this week, so I'm hoping we get some answers about some stuff.
Ooh, yeah, that'll be good. Yeah. I wonder how hard they're going to grill him about it.
Brett says he is going to straight up ask him, which he's already come out and say they're not merging with Trackhouse, but yeah, I think merging with Trackhouse would benefit them right now. But, here again, I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
Well, gonna be interesting, man. I will definitely be listening to that one with a lot of open ears because I wanna understand where their struggles are coming from. It's really funny how certain teams that should be doing really good are struggling a ton, and certain teams that have always struggled are doing good. Like Front Row, Rick Ware. I'm trying to think of who else has been RFK. All those guys are all on the upswing. But
and you know what all those are? They're all Fords.
Yeah. That's a good point. Never even thought about that. And then you have SHR, also a Ford. Colleague.
Biggest downswing of all time.
Yeah, from one of the major teams that should be winning should have a chance to win every week. You got SHR, you got Colleague, struggle busting it right now.
They said they're going to make an announcement tomorrow, Tuesday, about SHR's future.
Oh, no way.
So tomorrow we're going to find out.
What's your prediction? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow? Let's get your bold and brave prediction here today.
I don't know. I don't know what my prediction is, but like when the land is for sale, that the shop's on and the shop is for sale, that can't mean good things. I would assume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm just it could be for sale, and they're just kind of seeing what the market's like and what's out there. Maybe they're just
but that doesn't happen unless you're interested. So,
exactly.
Yeah, you got a point.
So that's super. That would be the most alarming thing for me. Like that is the most biggest thing. Like downsizing and maybe running 3 or 2 cars next year. Okay, that still sucks for everybody. But like I see that. But then once a couple weeks ago, and they said the land was for sale, that's when I was like, this is coming to an end. This is coming to an end quickly. And I don't know if you follow Brian Murphy, who now works for RFK, but he worked for SHR for a long time. And he is throwing shade on them hardcore.
Damn.
And he actually said the other day, he made a tweet that was like, you're not going to need an umbrella for how much shade's going to be coming from this account soon. And I feel like he knows something that's coming tomorrow. So, I don't know. They talked to Briscoe and Priest this week, and they were both kind of like, I don't know. Priest's exact words were, he was like, Tony and Gene gave me an opportunity when they didn't have to. So, like, I'm thankful, but that was, like, as far as he went. Like, and then I can't remember if it was Briscoe or him. Somebody was like, there's pretty much everyone in the building doesn't really know what the future holds until we're going to find out tomorrow.
Nothing wins championships like a wishy-washy, don't know what's coming attitude.
For sure.
But, I mean, I wouldn't be very surprised if the whole thing gets dissolved. I wouldn't be surprised if they got all 4 of those charters up for sale. They got the land for sale. They're shutting down next year. Because you got Tony Stewart 100% focused on his drag racing career. Barely goes to any NASCAR events, almost none at all. And you've got Gene Haas, who's only got 1 driver in F1 that even has any sort of points. He's like at 11th with 15 points. And you got Kevin Harvick saying he never shows up to the racetrack.
Yeah, that was some digs too.
He obviously doesn't care. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets out of all of his racing stuff and just goes and enjoys retirement. Tony Stewart's moving on to bigger and better things, he thinks. And I don't know. It's just, what else? Both of the owners don't really give a damn anymore. And I don't see Junior wanting to go into business with either of them to try to take over that race shop. And switch it over to Chevys. So I don't see any saving grace here. And if they continue to run two cars, those two cars are going to run like new Rick Ware cars with this level of attitude they have right now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. You saying like the uncertainty. All those employees that work on those cars, all the mechanics, all the engineers, whatever. Okay, if you don't know what's coming in the next year, you're job hunting. And I know they're under contract right now through the end of the year, but their main concern is putting food on the table, not figuring out what's going on right now. It's figuring out, what's going on later.
Because you're talking about pit crew guys that they're making good money, but they're not making the kind of money that these other guys are, the drivers and the crew chiefs and these big guys. They've got to protect their money coming in, because if that money stops coming, they're going to be screwed. They don't have a big bank stockpile sitting off to the side. So I'd be job hunting too. I'd say I don't give a damn about this contract. Y'all obviously don't know what you're doing. I'm not sticking around to watch the ship go down.
Yeah, dude. This was another eye-opening thing that Freddie Kraft said on DBC, but he was saying he was helping a friend of his, like, get a job somewhere in the NASCAR world. And he had a job offer from SHR and a job offer from a lower – he didn't say who, but, like, a team that's not, as high caliber. And Freddie goes, the future at SHR is cloudy. Like, you are going to be better off taking this job. And the guy took the other job, and he was like, he's probably super pumped about that right now.
Yeah, no doubt. I would be too, because I'd be scared to death about what my job looks like going forward.
Yeah, so that's – I don't know. I'm on the side of this kind of the same boat as Dale Jr., though. Like, Tony Stewart's an icon, and it would suck to see him, like, be completely done with NASCAR racing. But I'm not going to lie. I don't think this was like an overnight decision. I think Tony's been done with NASCAR racing for a while. Like,
since he signed the retirement papers.
Yeah, like NASCAR, not NASCAR racing, but I think like NASCAR and like the way that they've
the
went
organization
and the things that they've done and just all of that. I really think he's been done with all of that for a while. And then when he got on podcast interviews and stuff and said that, like, drag racing is what NASCAR was in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And talking about the money and everybody hanging out. And, like, after they load the truck, they just sit around and drink beer, and it's a bunch of good old boys, quote unquote. I think that's what Tony Stewart likes. And he doesn't have to go. He's not racing because he has to have the money. He's racing because he wants to do something else different and have fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't think he's had fun doing this at all. And I don't think he likes a new car. I don't think he likes new NASCAR is what it all boils down to.
Yeah, he's one of the Boomer fans. He's a Boomer fan.
Yeah, and he's found something that gives him that old NASCAR vibe, which is the drag racing thing, and he's publicly said that. So it's like, yeah, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. I just do think it would suck to lose NASCAR for Tony Stewart to, NASCAR not to be a thing anymore. But
yeah,
more power to him. He's a gazillionaire that's won literally everything there is to win. So why not?
Yeah, why not? And I get that too. It just sucks to see it go, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's the announcement that team's coming to an end, which is just going to suck because now you got 4 drivers who are all looking for a ride.
And 4 charters that are for sale.
4 charters that are for sale, which means that you're probably going to have to go in with one of those charters. I mean, some of those drivers are going to have to move with the charter and go to a brand new team that's being put together and basically start all over again. And who knows where those teams are going to be and how good those cars are going to run. You're probably going to have your 21 car that's available.
21
somebody's going to hop in there.
If you put it up like that, there's 6 cars available right now. The 34, the 21, and then 4 charters.
Yeah. So
which is why they keep saying this is so going to be the craziest, silly season ever. Because, I mean, there's a lot of rides open.
Yeah, because it's not only drivers moving between rides that exist, but it's drivers moving between rides that don't even exist yet. So it's impossible to predict where anybody's going because you're not even sure where the landing pads are until those charters get purchased.
Yeah, and also, it's kind of like, I heard Jordan Bianchi say with the 99 car, like, you hear Suarez talk about it, and it's like he's very confident that, like, something's going to happen, but then the outside world looks at it like, are you sure? Like, it would be. I feel like there'd be a lot more hype behind it and people knowing about it if something was going to happen too. And I'm not saying they're going to kick Suarez out of his ride, but like,
yeah,
Zane Smith is somewhere and he's under contract with Trackhouse. SVG said in an interview that he didn't come to America to race Busch Series cars.
yeah.
And you got Suarez, and it's like, do they buy a charter? It's like, what does Trackhouse do? They got Connor Zillage, who's like, I know he's like 5 years away from Cup racing, but they got a whole lot of drivers.
Yeah, they're doing
two spots to put them in. So they're going to expand someday, somehow, some way.
Maybe this is their best opportunity because when you have 4 charters on the market, you can buy those suckers cheaper, a lot cheaper. And you know, it'd be
Dale
even,
Jr.
you know,
says like
hilarious?
20 to 25 million.
Yeah, and you know it'd be hilarious. BJ McLeod goes back and buys another charter.
Oh my God.
And ends up selling his that he originally had for 45 million.
Talk about buying low, selling high, and buying low again. That man is the
all
legend.
of his equipment and getting all this new stuff put into the shop and then rebuying a charter. So now you're not only guaranteed a starting position again, but you have all this brand new equipment that you just spent millions of dollars on. You got it all basically for free and you're right back where you were. Man, that could be cool.
That could be cool.
But that's just me. That's me dreaming for the man. I don't know if he's really looking to get another charter or not. But
He might just enjoy racing 5 races a year and sitting on the beach down in Florida with his $40 million in his pocket. Honestly,
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I'm pretty sure he's from Florida, so he's probably got him a nice little spot down there somewhere, sitting on the beach drinking a margarita.
Well, I just know it's just like you said. It's gonna be goofy this year, and we could sit here and make predictions all day long, but we're all just throwing darts at a dartboard we can't see. Just hoping to God we can hit something good. But just an interesting set of circumstances going on here.
Mm-hmm.
God dang. Well, I guess we've already kind of given it away, but I have a feeling Hack of the Week's pretty easy to pull.
Yes, sir.
Hack of the Week. Hack of the Week. We
NASCAR.
talked about it earlier.
Calling
NASCAR.
this race. Like, just stupid.
NASCAR making us wait 2.5 hours to not go to bed just to get found out that there's no reason to stay up at all. Just tough luck.
And it was a yawn.
Damn.
Yeah, dude, we started the podcast with it, so I don't know really what else much there is to say, but 100% NASCAR for doing that, whether it was the TV or NASCAR or what. It's like, dude, come on. There's no way. The track is literally almost dry, and you've just pissed off every single person that's stayed up and spent money. And like I said,
we've been talking about how good of a race Charlotte's supposed to be this entire time, and then now I just saw the Jeff Gluck poll, 75% no. And I guarantee you it's all because of the call.
I haven't even seen the poll, so
75 no, 25 yes, and I have a feeling the 25 yes are just the next gen on mile and a half apologists coming out saying, no, it was a good race. It just got shortened. It's like, that makes it a bad race. Sorry about your bad luck. But
yeah,
you got any trading paints?
I'm putting no right now. 75%
there you go.
No. 26,000 votes right now.
Yep. I definitely voted no myself.
Christopher Bell, quote, says, never in a million years did I think I would win a rain-shortened race after it stopped raining. It's the first post on my Twitter feed.
Damn. That's incredible.
That's just...
And Kyle Larson posted about how it was supposed to be one of the best days of his life, and it turned out to be one of the most disappointing. Didn't even run the double. All he did was run the single.
He ran 500 miles.
All that hype for nothing.
Literally nothing. Millions and millions of dollars. Which he got to run the full Indy 500, which was their goal anyway. So
yeah, it was their goal. It didn't quite turn out the way I think he hoped for it. And then it didn't even get to race a cup car at all. So
yeah,
just a shit show from beginning to end. It's not his fault. It just is what it is. Back hack of the week, though, I will say, anybody who gave Kyle Larson shit about wanting to stay and run the Indy 500.
You should read your tweet that you posted. That was a top-tier tweet. I retweeted it.
Which one? I posted 2.
The one, like, all y'all that turned on Kyle Larson so quick can basically kiss my ass. Pretty much.
Oh, yeah. That's my back hack of the week. Actually, I'll let yours be NASCAR. I'll let this be mine. My other favorite tweet I made is I only drink on days between Monday and Sunday, so I have to go on hard on Sunday before the break starts.
Yeah, that was pretty good, too.
Why everybody turning on Kyle Larson so easy? A victim of circumstance trying to make a tough decision, and his entire team, including Mr. H, is weighing in. Y'all so sensitive. If you root for him in Cup, root for him in Indy. Fair weather fans.
Yeah.
And then I posted later on also, it's just like the guy that's signing his paychecks, the guy that is his primary sponsor for the entire series, basically, in NASCAR, the guy that gave him his chance after he had everything go on in 2020. I mean, the dude that's literally gave Kyle Larson his entire ride and ability to race in NASCAR again is literally there saying, I want you to stay in Indy and race that. I'm going to listen to what my boss says, first off. And also, you're not exactly going to get a lot of opportunities to drive the Indy 500. So take your chance while you can. Kyle Larson's already a NASCAR Cup champion. He's already won so many damn races in NASCAR. And I'm not saying that every win isn't special. And he should absolutely do his best effort to race NASCAR as much as possible. But you're putting this man in a once-in-a-lifetime situation. And his boss and his primary sponsor is the one telling him, stay. Yeah. Do this. Jeff Gordon, president of Hendrick, say, do this. This is our priority. Everybody is right there with him saying that, yes, we're on board with this. We don't care about the repercussions. Any fans that have anything else to say, you are just wasting your breath.
Yeah.
Like, let the man do what he wants. It's
Two points I want to say to this. One, when you said right there with him, literally right beside him, Mr. Hendricks and Jeff Gordon are sitting right there. If you had any question at all whether they were going to go to the Coke 600, all you had to do was look at who's standing beside Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
They ain't leaving.
They got three cars back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but they're there with Kyle Larson at the Indy 500.
Exactly. That's all you had to say. And just like you said, whose name is across Kyle Larson's chest every weekend?
Yeah.
Hendrick. Whose name is on his quarter panels in his hood every weekend?
Yep.
Hendrick.
Yep.
Whose name was on the side of that Indy car this weekend?
Yep.
Hendrick. What number did he have? 17. Ricky's number. Like, same thing. I just be like, you are an idiot if you think that they are not going to stay at Indy.
Yeah.
Like I love you said, right there with him. Literally right there with him. They are all there.
Yeah.
They let Chad Knaus handle the Cup Series stuff to be the president and the guy in charge over there in Charlotte, and they came to Indy for this.
Yeah. And then there's all those other fans that are saying he shouldn't get a playoff eligibility
that
waiver
was my second
because of
point.
the fact that he chose another racing series over NASCAR. It's like, he chose the Indy 500 over the Coke 600.
The biggest race in the whole year.
Of the whole world.
My favorite entire thing about the waiver situation is NASCAR gives waivers to guys they suspend.
Yeah.
Bubba Wallace for wrecking Kyle Larson. Chase Elliott for wrecking Denny Hamlin. Johnny Sauter for wrecking Austin Hill. That got brought up. All the guys that they have suspended over the years, they gave waivers to. What's the point of suspending somebody if you're going to let it just – that would be the ultimate consequence, you know? Not saying none of those guys are saying didn't deserve a waiver. I'm just saying if NASCAR gives waivers to guys they suspend, Kyle Larson's going to get a waiver.
Yeah. It's just, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is Kyle Larson is one of the most popular drivers in NASCAR. NASCAR would be shooting themselves in the foot, taking away one of the most popular drivers' ability to race for a championship. It's what everybody comes to watch, and every Kyle Larson fan right now is so excited about him running the 500. And then imagine if NASCAR said, well, he chose the 500 over the 600. I think we're not going to let him compete in the playoffs. They would be up in arms. So many people would be pissed off about that.
And then think about
it wasn't
this.
even Kyle Larson's fault. The whole plan was to race both.
Yeah.
And the rain got in the way, and he did what he had to do because not only is it Mr. H's money, but it's also Arrow McLaren's money getting brought into this too. So he has two teams to appease over there. And one of those teams is his primary race car in Cup. So he's going to stay over there and make both of them happy so he can possibly go back and finish the 600. And it just didn't work out. Everybody just needs to get off their damn high horse and get off their... I just feel like everybody's on a moral soapbox right now saying, oh, he shouldn't get one because the rules technically say, and it's like, shut the fuck up. I don't care what the rules technically say.
When if anybody...
Let the man
they make their own rules
championship.
every single week.
Yeah, and he basically self-imposed his own penalty. He doesn't get any points from that race.
Yeah.
In a race he should have won a shitload of points in, he doesn't get any. So it ruins his regular season championship ability, and it takes him and puts him back on a square peg with everybody else. It's just he made his bed, now he's got to sleep in it. But we shouldn't punish an entire fan base, team, like the pit crew members and the crew chief taking their ability to win a championship away. Like, no. Get off your damn moral soapbox.
This is the
and
thing,
understand that if it was your driver, you'd want him to have a playoff eligibility still.
Exactly. Watch if not that they would do this, but NASCAR, if they took the waiver and didn't give Kyle Larson a waiver, Kyle Larson could not show up the rest of the year. That 5 car could sit in the hauler because you know whose name's on the hood? Rick Hendricks. You know whose ratings would go down? NASCAR. You know whose ticket sales would go down? NASCAR. Every single week. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
I'm
There's
not
a
saying
reason
the
there
whole
was so much
sport
hype about
rides
the 500.
Yes. You know who led the Indy 500 in merch sales? Kyle Larson.
Kyle
You know who was the most bet on guy for the Indy 500? Kyle Larson.
Yep.
It's just like, I'm not saying the whole sport rides on Kyle Larson, but he's a big part of it. And I'm willing to bet, I am so willing to bet, the days of Earnhardt and Elliott winning the most popular driver award every single year possibly comes to an end in 2024.
Possibly. I could see it. And I just love the folks saying, man, if you give him a waiver, you're just going to have to let anybody could go run any other series, and NASCAR just have to give him a waiver because it's precedent. Name one other driver besides Kyle Larson. There's maybe 5. It would be basically Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson. Truex maybe, Kez.
What are you talking about?
I'm getting there. It's just who else has the ability, talent, and skill to be given a ride in another series that is competitive enough that 1, he has a chance to win, and 2, is a big enough series to make it worth it to leave a NASCAR Cup ride.
It's not like he was going down and racing the street stock down the road at Rome Speedway.
It's not like that race is worth it more. There's every other person that has the ability to run in a separate series. The other series would be something that is not as prestigious and doesn't make as much money as taking the Cup ride on Sunday. So really, what are you trying to argue? What other racing series is going to go and try to ask somebody to run a one-off race for them and give up a NASCAR Cup Series start that the driver is even going to take seriously enough to potentially put himself in a position where he loses his playoff eligibility? Nobody else is going to do that unless it's the 500.
Indy 500, that's it.
And the only other races I can think of don't even compete with the Cup Series schedule, like the Rolex 24. That'd be a one that somebody may want to think about. But that happens before the Cup Series
people
start.
do that all the time. There's NASCAR Cup guys that do that all the time.
It's outside the NASCAR
You know who's
season.
won the Rolex 24? Kyle Larson.
So that's where I'm at. Is what is your point? Because if you break down your point, you're basically making your own argument against yourself, because there's no one else that's going to do that. There's no other race that competes with NASCAR that people would potentially use as an excuse to leave a NASCAR Cup Series ride. And it's basically the 500, and that whole day is designed around not competing with each other. There's no way they're going to run those two races at the same time unless it's like this year where there's a rain-out race. That is the only circumstance. So what are you even trying to say? That's where I'm trying to get with this.
Yeah.
And there's only a few drivers I could see even being put in that position. So I don't know. People just need to get off their damn soapbox and really hardcore dig open their arguments and quit just responding with the same crock of bullshit that you see from every other person on Twitter.
Totally.
Ridiculous.
And my favorite thing about all of this, all of these things, kind of that we've talked about all day, like Austin Hill, Kyle Larson, whoever. I saw, and this goes for like any celebrity, but people think that just because you see a celebrity on TV or what they post on the internet, that's who they are. That's what they are. You know what I mean? And it's like, these people, you don't know what these people are. You don't know how they act. You don't know anything about them. And they just give all these opinions and all this stuff. Kyle Larson this, Kyle Larson that. You don't even know the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anything about him. Like, all this stuff you're saying, you wouldn't say any of it to their face. People, all this stuff. All the stuff people said about Austin Hill, they would say none of it to their face. One, because he would punch them. But two, because they're scared to death to say anything to anybody's face. So everybody wants to, like, sit behind their keyboard and just bash all these guys. Not just NASCAR guys, any celebrity in the world. Just bash them. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, you don't even know these guys. And, like, people just saying all this outrageous stuff this weekend about Kyle Larson. And, like, it's just crazy stuff. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like,
and I'll talk shit about what a driver says, or I'll talk shit about a driver for sure. But when it comes to a really tough business decision like that, there's not really a whole lot that we can weigh in because there's so many other pieces and parts that went into making that decision that we don't know anything about.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, these guys, like the guys that are making these decisions, like Rick Hendrick and, like I said, McLaren, all these guys, they're worth billions of dollars. You know what I mean? It's like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like you just said, what it's
like to manage billions of dollars.
What it's like to manage billions of dollars and all these sponsors and all these people and all this stuff. It's like, dude, you probably work at McDonald's. Like, the people that are saying, you know, you have 12 followers. You know what I mean? It's like, you probably live in your mom's basement. And you're talking shit about these guys that are, like, running these huge companies, huge businesses, managing all these people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. Some of the stuff I saw this weekend is just like, what? Kind of like you're saying, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So that's my hack of the week is salty NASCAR fans who don't like Kyle Larson doing something that got more media attention than anything they've ever done in their lives. But do you know of any trading paints you want to throw out there?
Yeah,
any cars that caught your attention this weekend?
I wanted to say, back in the day at night races, if you look at pictures like with the flash camera back in the day, like the headlights and the numbers and stuff would be like reflective or whatever. The 6 and the 7 ran reflective numbers this weekend.
I thought the 6 car was a really neat looking race car for sure. And the
like,
RFK post that showed it just racing around the track with other cars just made it look badass.
Even they just took they looked great on the track, don't get me wrong, but like they took a picture with the lights off in the shop and then took a picture with the flash and on the numbers, and they're like glowing. And I remember like Earnhardt and Gordon, like they were at Charlotte races, like in the nighttime, and they would take pictures with the flash and they would like glow, and it was just awesome. So I thought that was cool, bringing back that like 90s.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, it's a
badass
looking
flash thing, but I love the Memorial Day races for all the American flag cars, the red, white, and blue cars. I really enjoyed the 19 car. Bass Pro always nails it, but like Gregson's and Dillon's had like a lot of blue on the nose, kind of blue and red, you know. The 19 car kind of had it like some stars and kind of had it broke up a little bit more. I love the 19 car. You know, like Barry's car, they kind of had like the normal paint job, but also had like the American flag like in the paint job. You know, I love all the red, white, and blue race cars. I think that's awesome. And
patriotic race cars are just awesome.
Yeah. And I love that that's still around, still a thing, because like there's been patriotic race cars on Memorial Day weekend for a long time. So I hope that always stays around.
I'm here for it, man. Shit, yeah. Well, as much as I'd love to keep talking crap about this race, I think we've said it all. I don't know if there's really much else to cover.
Yeah.
The Coke 373 is behind us, and we're moving on. We're almost done with Fox Broadcasting. It's so close. I think we're like 2 weeks away.
Should be Nashville, the first race. Or it used to always be Nashville the last couple of years.
Yep. It's, is it Iowa or Nashville? I think it's Iowa.
It is.
I think Iowa's the first one on the 16th of June. And then New Hampshire and Nashville right after it. So, but next week we go to Gateway. I think it's pretty easy to pick the 11 car here. I think that's going to be the one to beat.
Bitch last year.
I just don't see that happening again. So.
I do not either. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yep. I think I'm going to have to say it. It's just Denny Hamlin's year. I know I say his name every single week, but he genuinely runs good every single week. So what else do you need to see? Yeah. I don't know if you have an alternate pick outside of that, but that's who I'm picking to win this race is Denny Hamlin. I think he's going to do pretty damn good.
I can't think who won the first one there.
I would have to go back in my files.
I think this is the third race at Gateway for the Cup Series, I think.
I think you're right, because I think that first year was whenever Hamlin and Chastain were out there playing grab ass on the front stretch.
No, that was last year. First year of the podcast.
Damn. Right? I start losing my mind after a while.
Yeah, I think that was last year. I mean, it's the style of track. You could still go with your normal guys, your normal top 5 guys that run top 5 every week. I would have to go actually look at some stats, because all I remember about last year was that the 3 car ran incredible, or not the 3, the 8 car ran incredible the whole race, and Hocevar ran that race. He ran great. Do you remember, though, there was a bunch of rotor failures that caught Hocevar, but Bell, him, I think Blaney, there's a few guys that all got nailed with the rotor exploding going into the corner. So I don't know. They might, you might be brake problem. There's a lot to go into. I need to look at some stats first before I make my final decisions on what I'm going to do.
I'm looking at stats right now, and actually Kyle Busch is the overall absolute favorite at this racetrack, because in the 2 races that we've had at Gateway since they've brought it back to the Cup Series, Kyle Busch has finished 1 and 2. His average finish right now is 1.5. Joey Logano racing there. He has a win, and he has a 3rd place finish.
So Logano won the first one, and he won the second.
Logano won the first. Kyle Busch won the second.
Another
and
place we go to for the first time. We go to for the first time. Look who wins. Joey Logano.
Joey Logano.
Proofs in the pudding.
Ryan Blaney is the 3rd favorite of the active drivers. Kurt Busch technically is, I don't know if you want to say ahead of him. With the average finish, he's technically ahead of him, but he only raced there 1 time, and he finished 3rd.
Okay.
Ryan Blaney is your 3rd favorite of active drivers. He's got 1 top 5, 1 top 10 there. And then Truex right after him with the same exact stats. And then Kyle Larson with 1 top 5, and the other race he finished in the top 20.
Yeah. So
I'd say those are your names to be
Busch?
looking out for. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Larson.
Are you going to put money on Kyle Busch?
No.
I just don't think the cars are running as good. Like, that car's not as running as good as it was last year. It's my only thing.
Yeah, he's just run extremely well the last 2 years, and he's just running like doo-doo this year. So,
well, the first race, he would have been in the 18 car, right? Second race, the 8 car. Third race, the 8 car. So
I don't think I see a repeat of what he's been putting together at that track. I think he still runs well. I just don't think the juice is going to be worth the squeeze on putting him down for a top 10.
Being the favorite, it's not going to be.
But Fords have been doing a lot better recently. So I think Joey Logano, I think you could get him for some great money. I think you're going to get him at really really low odds to win. But I think he's got a really good shot at doing it. So I think he's going to be one to look out for. That's talking betting wise. Fantasy wise, I couldn't tell you. It's so hard to predict what a Penske car is going to do. And then, of course, I'm running down Ryan Blaney as my other winning bet, just because got to vote for your favorite.
Yeah.
But those are my picks for Gateway. That's not just looking at stats. That's what swayed my mind. But I would have definitely put Denny Hamlin up there too.
Yeah, Denny, I think runs good there. He just, like you said, was playing grab ass last year, so it didn't work.
Man, they finally squashed that beef, so I think it'll be a little better for him.
Well, thank y'all for listening. This was a lot longer of a podcast than I anticipated. I thought we would kind of get on here and shit on the race and then move on.
It was a wash.
We were here for an hour and 20 minutes.
Heck yeah.
Follow Raised Rowdy Racing on all the platforms. You can follow me at Dawson Edwards Music on all the platforms. Caleb?
I am at Caleb Conrady everywhere. And everybody, we just got to watch out. Make sure that you're not walking around Dawson's backyard. You may just leave with a new blister on the bottom of your foot.
Yes,
so just be careful if you were visiting. Backyard. Yes, Dawson has a natural hot spring in his backyard that he just discovered. I think he's going to start marketing it as a mineral well, so that way he can have some people coming over, charge them money to sit in there and cure all their ailments. So if a goofy-looking dude in a blue hat with a 5 on the side comes up, tries to sell you a bottle of water, maybe think twice. It's probably going to taste like fish.
Probably going to taste like shrimp and Creole seasoning.
Exactly. So be careful out there, y'all. Buy your waters at reputable dealers only. And we love y'all. Thank y'all for listening. And we will talk at y'all later. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's Memorial Day, Monday. Remember the troops and fly your American flags high and proud. I just hung mine up. So
Perfect.
enjoying the patriotic season.
See y'all.
Love y'all.